Good morning. This is where I come every morning. Well, not every morning, I'm lying. I come most mornings. No, I don't even come most mornings. I come occasionally to absorb nature. As you can see, it's a beautiful setting. It's really interesting, the juxtaposition of the beautiful modern houses against the old lake. This is going to be what I'm going to be talking about today, is meditation. As you know, I spend 6 months of the year in India spiritually developing. And I have to say, a lot of people go to India looking for the gateway, so to speak. And I think a lot of them probably either fall for the illusion or understand that it's absolute garbage. And let me explain why I think it's absolute garbage. This is not just India, this is any meditation center. They all talk about the same thing. Oh, you must quieten the mind. Okay. FYI. Your mind, what we understand about it is, shall we say, at best, 98% subconscious. If you switch that off, then you'll be essentially dead. So it's pretty much impossible to switch that part of yourself off. So when they're telling you to quieten your mind, what exactly are they meaning? Well, once again, we're at a real quandary. How do you quieten your mind? You sit there and of course a thought will come in and they say, oh, just accept the thought. Well, yeah, thoughts are happening all the time. So how do we quiet our mind? Well, it's quite simple. You have to develop the mind. This is why the Buddhists and the Hindus read lots and lots of religious text, because our mind is a biological computer. Essentially, if you put garbage into it, you're going to get garbage out of it. So to get the higher mind, one needs to put in, if you like, higher levels of literature. But anyway, that's only half the story, because we need proof of the higher mind. You know, if someone's going to tell you, well, I'm enlightened, well, that's great. But I want proof. And the only way we find proof is probably through shamanism. The shaman takes their sacred plants and they go into different levels of consciousness. I don't see much meditation there. I don't see much reading. For example, if we look at the South American shaman, semi-literate, but they can take their sacred plant and they learn other plant combinations, which is fairly amazing when you consider just how many plants there are in the Amazon. For example, ayahuasca is a blending of 3 plants. Now, the anthropologists will say, oh, it's just trial and error. Well, I mean, you know, you're in the jungle and, you know, I would imagine that sort of at least 70% of the plants can kill you. So it's got to be more than just random plant mixing. So bearing this in mind, how does this meditative or higher mind work? Well, the Kabbalists, when they speak of meditation, they speak of something called the lightning strike, when you sit in group meditation, it's all about quieting your mind and switching off to the outside world. Well, this is completely contradictory, especially to shamanic teachings and also Kabbalistic teachings. I'm not a Kabbalist, but any enlightenment I've had has been the lightning strike. It's not been this dull, oh my God, I can see my navel now and I'm enlightened. So I think this is something else to really take into consideration, that the deeper mind, the enlightened mind, is a definite switch between two levels of consciousness. I mean, to illustrate this further, in India there is something called silent retreats, and people go off to the silent retreats. And they do it every year when they come to India because they find it so enlightening. But my argument is, if you don't know anything about a gym, going to a gym is not going to help you. You're probably going to injure yourself. You're probably going to waste your time doing exercises that don't exist. You're not going to have the correct diet. You're not going to have the correct instruction. So I really think that this is, shall we say, questionable. And the mind, I presume, is a lot more complicated than the physical structure of our bodies. So, you know, you're sat there in silence. Well, I would have thought that's a pretty good way to make you paranoid, to put it bluntly, because as the old saying goes, the empty mind is a workshop for the devil. But they would say, no, you have to go through this. Well, it's like, well, how do you know how to go through it? You know, I mean, literally, when we are born, we are taught to walk by our parents. When we are meditating, we are given some kind of weird self-hypnosis. The real meditation, I presume, is more of what Plato speaks about. Plato speaks about the forms and connecting with the forms. And once again, we're not talking about some dull, mind-numbing meditation process. We're talking about a sudden realization. So I think the thing is what I'm trying to say about meditation is, realistically, deeper levels of meditation are achieved through some kind of human-plant interaction. I'm 65, maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe going to India for like God knows how long and sat with the gurus who essentially, most of them talk shit, is supposed to be the way to find meditation. And, you know, I don't see how sitting cross-legged staring at the wall or whatever is going to take you to anywhere apart from a highly active imagination and some form of self-hypnosis. I have seen what ayahuasca can do. I've seen what 5-MeO DMT can do. And this stuff works. And once again, we're not talking some gradual slipping into consciousness. When the consciousness happens, these people suddenly arrive in a state of consciousness. Definitely reading the right material, being with the right people, not people who are going to set you some kind of psychological quiz as to what's wrong with you. Well, there can't be that much wrong with you if you've made it all the way to India, one would presume. That's the trouble with humans. We're quite easy to look at ourselves and say, oh, everything is wrong about me, and ignore the positive aspects of our personality. We all need to work on ourselves, guaranteed, but realistically, what is the benchmark about working on yourself? This is also part of meditation. And rest assured, when you go to these meditation retreats, unfortunately, I shouldn't be saying this, but quite a lot of them spike the drink and the drugs with cannabis or LSD to give you the impression that you've got to a higher level by yourself. but in reality, it's pretty much fake. So what I'm saying is in a nutshell, is to open your mind, it's got to be like a parachute. You don't just read one philosophy, you read everything. And if you truly want to reach higher levels of consciousness, I don't think it's achieved by sat staring at your stomach all day. I think it's a gradual process of reading, of discipline, and then usually an external agent like cannabis, buffo, ayahuasca helps the person to achieve some kind of enlightenment. There are things like hemisync, and yes, the CIA looked at hemisync, and after a while they dropped the gateway experience because not everybody could get the gateway experience. So, again, we're in a dilemma. So even with like the technology and the millions that the CIA must have thrown at it, the results were random, to say the very least. However, you smoke marijuana or take bang or take ayahuasca or take 5-MeO DMT, and believe me, you'll get the results. So I would say that if you want to sit at the river and watch the fish, yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Whether or not you're meditating, I doubt. And realistically, what is meditation? I'm telling you this because, like I said, I'm 65. I've seen a lot of this bullshit, to put it bluntly. And the development of the mind is completely different from meditation, but one needs to develop the mind, or otherwise you haven't got any chance of meditation. But meditation, in a nutshell, is usually gained through some kind of outside stimulus. Well, I hope that's helped and it's not been too boring. Maybe I'll show you one last look at the lake. As you can see, it's absolutely tranquil and beautiful. Maybe it's in a state of meditation. Thank you for listening, and namaste.